This is the Leo Climaco podcast.
Talk to me about your childhood and your upbringing. What was that like?
Well, I wish I had some tragic story to say about my childhood and how I overcame adversity and the challenges made me who I am and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. But it's not glorious. It's, in fact, the opposite direction. I had a very good childhood, lovely childhood, loving parents.
It's incredible.
My parents loved me unconditionally. I always knew that, never doubted it. We always had food on the table. And I had, to a great degree, a very, very privileged life in my youth, in my adolescence, and it carried through. Now, my father was a diplomat, and we moved around a lot. However, there came a time when he had left politics, he had left government because of ideological differences, political differences
Right.
also
In Haiti?
in Haiti. And when that time came, we were abroad. And he decided he could not live under a dictatorship. And so when that happened, we were effectively in exile.
Right.
So we basically lost everything.
Wow.
And when we did come to the United States, we came with absolutely nothing. Whatever we had, whether it was in Cuba, Italy, Venezuela, we lost everything.
Wow.
And it was an immediate loss. And it was the kind of thing where we left from Cuba, so you basically had to leave with your luggage. There was nothing you could take. And so when we came to the United States, my father started from scratch.
Wow.
But we never knew it. We never felt it because he always provided for us. And he always made sure that the family was safe, the family had food on the table, and that we were taken care of.
What a great role model.
It was the role model of my life. Not anyone else. When I look back, he definitely, and my mother, of course, made me who I am today. They pulled me through all these other experiences that I lived through, and in one way or another, led me to those experiences when I do think back of the course of my life and the journey that I've traveled.
When did you start training? How old were you?
I started late in comparison. I was about 18 and a half when
Okay.
I started. It was late. But before that, I had done a bit of judo, and I loved boxing, so I had done that. I started on my own, then took lessons, and it was. I always had that instinct in me, and that was actually that came to be as a result of an unfortunate experience that I had to go through. And that experience was, the classical bully thing, right?
Right.
The guy who bullies you. But in this case, the guy was like 18, 19. He was a bodybuilder. And I was a skinny little kid in 8th grade. I was maybe 13 years old. But he basically had embarrassed me. And
To me, that speaks more about him than you. If he's 18, a bodybuilder, picking on a 13-year-old.
oh yeah, no question about it. But he was one of those guys also in the neighborhood who was like, he was known as the tough guy and had a group of other tough guys surrounding themselves around him, the followers. And what happened is I really was not going to let him have the better of me. And so one day as I was passing by going to my house, there was a center that had opened up, and I saw that they had basketball, they had ping pong, they had wrestling, they had boxing. I said, boxing, I'm going to go there. And it was with the intention that, I'm going to make sure that I can protect myself. So that's how I started. And then shortly thereafter, I never forgot that. And we met again. And that time it was a different story,
When you started training at 18, did you know what Kyokushin was? Or was it just let me go do karate and that's what it was?
I had no idea. All I know is that karate at the time was being brought up as the martial art. I mean, if you want to go anywhere and really be tough and really learn, you got to do karate, not boxing. So I said, I got to go and try this thing. And at the time also, there was a commercial by a man named Jerome Mackey. I mean, he was all over the place, and he had karate schools all over. And so through media, I was also getting that information. Right. So I started going to karate schools to visit. So I went to 1, I went to 2, I went to 3, I went to 4. And by the 5th one, I was almost like giving up, because where I went and what I saw, and with my background in judo and boxing, I said, I could take on those teachers.
Right. It fit together.
I don't see how they're going to beat me. And so someone that I was working with, at the time I was working at at Lincoln Center.
Okay.
And one of the guys said, listen, if you want to study karate, you got to go to this place. And it was the Brooklyn Academy of Music. Now, I lived in Queens. I'd never been to Brooklyn. I had moved from Canada to here, so I didn't. So I went to the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and it was really foreign territory to me. But it was on the 2nd floor or 3rd floor, and it was all the way in back of the building. And the Brooklyn Academy of Music is huge. So I tell the guy in the lobby where I was going, and he points me to the floor. I go, and as I'm in the elevator, I'm hearing a sound. And as the doors open, I'm hearing the sound. And as I'm approaching, and it's got to be maybe, 30 yards or so.
It's getting louder and louder.
It's getting louder and louder. And it's the sound of people kiaing. And I open the door, and I go about maybe 8-10 steps. There's another door, and that door is open. I step in, and I look to my right. The sound is deafening, and there had to be at least 40 men and women there.
Wow.
The place was packed. And these are men, big men. And you're talking about Brooklyn, so you don't have little slouches.
No.
The guys are, they're strong.
They're built, yeah.
And I saw one of the guys, his body was ripped and sweating, and I said, my God, this is amazing. And when I saw the instruction that was being there, and then they were going to fight. And at this point, the lady who was at the counter said, look, now you have to leave. I said, well, I'm really interested. I'd like to watch a little bit. He says, no, it's, when this session starts, you have to leave. You can come back, though. So I started getting information from her. But as I'm getting information from her, the fighting was starting. And I kind of got a glimpse of a couple of the action that was unfolding in front of me.
Was it love at first sight?
I said, you know what? If I can survive this, this is where I belong. And right then and there, I signed up, and I started. My first class, of course, fighting.
Right.
Everything was fine. Everything was beautiful. I was loving it, enjoying it. I loved the physical activity. I loved the intensity of it. But then fighting comes. My first fight is with a brown belt. And he kind of looks at me, smiles a little bit, and knocks me out. Pow! The same guy whose body I said was amazing, had no mercy, knocked me out.
Wow.
I got up. And when I got up, I looked at his face. I said, okay, I'll never forget, to make sure I never forget him.
Yeah.
And 4 years down the road, I took care of him too. And interestingly enough, from that day till that for 3.5, 4 years, my instructor had never put us together again.
Really?
Yeah. I think he sensed that maybe this guy had